If you've never built your startup pitch, you probably have one big question. How do I actually do it? How do I go about building my pitch? And for that, the first real important thing is don't start by building your pitch. Before you sit down, do anything in PowerPoint, you have to answer two questions for yourself. One is, what's the goal of this pitch? What do I want to get out of it? Am I looking for investors? Am I looking for partners? Am I looking for users? Am I looking for a co-founder? Whatever it is, define it. Make sure that you know very specifically what you want to get out of it. I actually recommend writing the goals of your specific pitch down on a piece of paper and putting it on the wall opposite your desk. So you can always look at it and say, okay, what do I actually want to get out of this? The second question you need to answer before you even get started with building your pitch is, who is my target audience for this one? Because to be honest, every pitch is going to be different. Unfortunately, you can't just build one and use it for the rest of your life. You have to change it constantly. Because every time you go up to a different event, different meeting, the audience will be different. And the more you know about the audience, the better it is. The better you can adjust to what they know, what they need to know, what they like, what they don't like. For example, if you go to an event where there's a lot of techies, of course you want to do your presentation a little more about technology because that's what interests them. And also you can assume they already know a lot about technology. If you go to a meeting where the room is going to be full of business people, obviously a little less technology and explaining a little more when you talk about it. So your audience is really, really important. Try to research it before you go up on stage or into a meeting, really understanding what do these people want. When you've answered these two questions for yourself, the next thing you want to do is think about human nature. Because human beings love nothing more than this, the campfire. Why do humans love that so much? Because when we go way back, when we were hunting and gathering, the fire meant we were in a safe place. While we were out hunting or gathering, every time you picked berries, there might be a tiger behind the bush trying to kill you. So life was very dangerous. But when you came home to the cave, you were safe. The fire kept away the animals. All the people you liked and loved, your family and your friends, were there. And that's why we love this feeling of we're sitting around the campfire. What did human beings do when they were sitting around the campfire? They were telling stories. Everybody was telling what happened during the day. You were listening to the stories and you felt safe. It was great. That's why human beings love this feeling of sitting around the campfire and listening to stories. All our lives consist of stories. Every movie we watch, every book we read, every song, they're all stories because we do love stories so much. So that means for you with your startup pitch, you also want to tell a story. But if you want to tell a story, the first thing you need to do is you need to take a step back from that story, from your startup. This is really difficult for entrepreneurs because as an entrepreneur, you think about your startup 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's perfectly fine. That's exactly how it should be because you have to have all of that information. You have to have that focus. You think about nothing else. But you have to understand your audience doesn't. They don't think about your startup at all. They think about whatever they like. You come up on stage, the first time you go up there, they have never seen you before, they've never heard of your startup before. So make sure that you look through your audience's eyes at whatever you're presenting to them. Don't assume they know everything that you know. And this is a mistake a lot of entrepreneurs make. Don't make that mistake. Try to sit down and say, okay, if I knew nothing about this startup, how would I need to hear about it so I can understand? When you actually sit down to prepare your presentation, the thing you don't want to do is you don't want to start with chart 1. What do I mean by that? You don't want to sit down and build your first chart all the way from beginning till end. Every single word you put on there, every picture, aligning all the things on there, putting your logo on there, etc., etc. That's not what you want to do. You don't want to do chart 1. First, you want to actually collect all of the content you want to put in your presentation. This actually goes so far that if you know that you might be in a pitch situation in 3 or 4 weeks, you should have some place where you can write everything down where you think this is going to be interesting enough to go into my pitch. Any number you have, any partnership you've done, any screenshots of your product, whatever it is that you feel should go into your pitch, put it in a specific place and collect it. That's the first step. The second step is to take all the stuff that you collected and put it into a structure. thinking about, okay, this needs to go first, this needs to go second, and then from there. So this is basically like a storyboard for your pitch. Storyboard you would do for a movie, every single scene, and the same you should be doing for your PowerPoint presentation, keynote, whatever you're doing. After that, the third step is to actually think about the content of each chart and what you want to say when you present that chart. But still, this is not the end of the chart. This is not designing, this is not aligning things, this is not looking for great pictures. This is just thinking about what needs to go on there and how am I going to present it. Why do you want to do that? You want to do that to avoid designing something that you will then delete. Because you decide, okay, I don't want to use it, I want to change the structure, this needs to be different. So if you do these first 3 steps, you get to the point where you can actually test your pitch before you finalize your presentation. So this you can take, you can go to somebody, you can present it to them, and you can see what are the questions they ask, what are the things they don't get, and you can improve it, you can improve it, you can improve it. And only when you realize, okay, everybody gets what I'm doing, then you move on to the 4th step, and that's actually designing the presentation, looking for pictures, aligning things on the chart, doing all these things. This way you make sure you don't waste your time and effort on something that you're going to delete later on. And after this, you might think you're done, right? You finished your presentation, it's designed, it's ready to go. But this is not the final step of the process. The final step of the process is practice. Because if you have a presentation in 10 days where you need to go and pitch at an event, if you finish your presentation in 9 days in the evening, you don't have any time to practice and you're going to have problems when you go up on stage. So always plan your schedule according to this. Always say, if the event is in 10 days, I need to finish my presentation in 5. So I have 5 days left of practice time. When you practice, you don't want to practice 20 times in a row on one day, but you actually want to practice twice a day or 3 times a day. Once in the morning, once in the evening, maybe once over lunch. That way, you will get a lot better at it without doing it 20 times in a row. If you practice 20 times on the last day, there's going to be less of an effect. When you do that, you can actually get very close to what I call the lean pitch. If you have time before your event, you can do your pitch, you can show it to people, you can gather feedback, and then you can improve it. You pitch, you measure the feedback, you learn. Just like the lean startup, you improve your pitch constantly. And this is also true after your event. If this event was good, still listen to the feedback you're getting, listen to the questions you're getting, take it home, think about how can I make my pitch better for next time. It never stops. You always have to keep improving your pitch.